Hi all. This is my first YouTube video, probably my last. I like watching YouTube. I'm not into making them, but something happened the other day that really made me mad. And so I got online and researched it, and there wasn't a whole lot of information in any one video. So I thought we might make one to make it a little easier for other people, since catalytic converters are a hot item right now to be stolen. A week ago, Friday, my daughter-in-law was at school. She's a school teacher. In broad daylight, they jacked the car up. Took 21 minutes to cut it out. We got it on film, but you couldn't see faces or license plates, so we're kind of stuck. So when you go out and get in your Prius and start it up and it sounds like a top fuel dragster, they took your catalytic converter. You can confirm it by looking underneath. You'll see the O2 wire dangling down after they cut it. So we did some research and found a cat assembly and the new O2 sensor for just under 200 bucks. Here's the box. We'll put a close-up of the part number and everything, and we'll put the links to everything that we bought. The tools you're going to need for the two new bolts: you will need a 14 millimeter, and you can use either 1/2 inch or 3/8. It doesn't make any difference, but you'll need a 10-inch extension and possibly another 4 once you go to put the bolts back in after the cat's there. Taking the old piece out that they cut's easy. There's nothing in the way. This part of the pipe slides over the piece of pipe that they hopefully left you enough sitting out there, and they usually do because that's what's easiest for them. And this slides over it, but after they use the Sawzall, it's rough and it doesn't quite fit, so you got to use a file. If you don't have a file, you could probably use sandpaper to clean it up because it is a tight fit. You also need an 8 millimeter Allen. I only had it in a socket. You don't need a socket. That's to get this plug out of the new assembly, and it is tight from the factory. So that's the only thing that is needed for. And then your new O2 sensor screws in there. That's basically all the tools you need, other than a floor jack and some jack stands. Now we jacked the car up extra high so we could get under there better and do a better video. I've already taken it apart, made sure this fits so that everything goes smooth, and then I put everything back together so you can see how it comes apart. So we will move into the vehicle now and take some video in there. Here's your O2 sensor wire hanging down, and here's where they cut the pipe. They even cut into our heat shield, and as it went back and forth, they even cracked it right here. I'm hoping it's not going to make a rattling noise, but this gets tore up with the Sawzall, so you want to clean that up because it is a very tight fit. So I just took a file and went around like this and just made sure that you don't feel any burr, so it'll slide over easy. And then there's a clamp that goes around it. Now if you only use the clamp, and not everybody's going to have a welder, but the clamp will get you up and going. It's just going to make it real easy if you don't have anything welded. They just need a 1/2 inch wrench, 2 nuts, and then the 2 bolts up there, and they've got the whole thing again without even making any noise with a Sawzall. So once you get it done, I would maybe take it to a muffler shop and have them weld that up. Might cost another 50 or 60 bucks, but I think it would be worth it. I can weld my own, so I'm going to do that, but I'm going to just show how anybody can put the clamp on it. So once you get that cleaned up, then we've got the 2 bolts up here to get to, which for right now are very easy. Right here's the 2 bolts, and you can see how they came up through here, and with a very long Sawzall blade cut this at a very steep angle, and they just come up through this small hole over here, and it's that easy. So we've got the 2 14 millimeter bolts up here. I'm going to take those off. Okay, these 2 14 millimeters are what you got to get off, and once you get them initially broke, they come off pretty easy. I've already broke them loose, so I just have to back them out. And they do have a spring tension on them, so If you just take one side off at a time, it kind of binds up because of the spring. There's bolt number one. There's bolt number two. That's how they cut it, and you can see how ragged that is. Now this donut, there's a flange on here, and that just pulls off, and the flat side goes back and the round side comes in. That helps center it when you pull it together, and then that's what makes the seal. So we've already cleaned this end up. That end's ready to put the new donut on. Here's the new donut. Put that on there like that. Now it's time for the cat. Now you do have to take this up at an angle and kind of wiggle it in here so that you can bring it up.
Let's knock the donut out.
Okay, so you got to twist it up in here a little bit because you've got to go past it so that you can get this side over here, and it's about that close. Now the muffler part is on rubber, so it will pull back to allow you to line these up. Then you just got to twist it. And my donut fell off again. This could be a pain. We're going to leave that off for a moment until we can get this wiggled on here. This is probably the hardest part of the whole job. Just about got it there. Now I got to get the donut back on. Pull back on the whole thing. Put it back on. Then push it up. As you can see, the holes are lined up. Now you take a new bolt with the spring. Now these new bolts do come with a nut. You don't need the nut. The nuts are welded on the back side of the plate that it bolts to. Getting them started is the fun part. Got to be lined up, and you've got the spring pushing against you too, so it's the second worst part of the job is getting these bolts started. To put the bolts on, take the nut off using the socket so you can get more leverage with push on it, because the springs keep tension on it, make it kind of a pain. Okay, we finally got that. It took all of about 10 minutes to put them in. Now I just got to tighten them up. And one thing I forgot to mention when you're tightening these up is if you look at the bolt, it has a collar on it. You just tighten it down to that and get it good and snug. You don't have to get really tight on it, but you go all the way down to that collar. Impact makes this a little faster, but not everybody has an impact, so I'm showing how it can be done with just a regular ratchet so that anybody that without a lot of tools, it's minimal tools. And you can probably borrow most of them from a parent or a neighbor or a coworker. Now with getting the old ones out, we live in Arizona. We don't have a lot of rust problems. If you live back east and you've got a lot of rust under your car, you're going to want to put some penetrating oil on these two bolts. Probably a day before. When you order the parts, go out and spray them. Give them a little spray each day, and you shouldn't have any problems busting them loose. Okay. The cat is in. Okay, and so for this, you just take two nuts off. Take the U-bolt out. Put it over the top. Put the bottom piece on. And my little short socket's not going to work. This is going to take a deep socket or a 1/2 inch wrench, either one. Okay, one tool I did forget to mention is the wrench for the actual O2 sensor. Looks like a 7/8 will work. I don't know what that equates out to in a millimeter, but a 7/8 will work. Now, the O2 sensor does come with this plastic cap on it to protect the actual sensor. Make sure you take that off before you put it in. But it just screws in right here. Just like so. Give it a good snug. You don't have to crank down on it. Just get it nice and tight. Now this is where the wire goes in. This is the wide side of the grommet. So you can do it one of two ways. I'm just using the back end of my file to push that up in there like that. Okay. Now we'll go up top and we'll show you how to pull the carpet back and plug a plug in. That's how easy it is. Okay, now this next part, hooking the O2 sensor back in, is pretty tough, so pay close attention. You don't want to miss nothing. Start with taking the floor mat out. Then up in here is a plastic clip. You can use a screwdriver, or I have a tool for popping it out. And it's up in here. Helps hold the carpet down. And you just reach up in here You don't have to take any of this plastic out. Just be careful pulling your carpet back. Pull it back far enough. And you'll see right here, here's the grommet I pushed up from the bottom. There's the cut wire. Whoops, you busted me. I already took the clip apart. You push on this part right here, and this pulls right out. Now I will push the other end up in there. Now when you push it up in there, take that grommet, push it all the way up in, and then just slowly in the center pull down till you feel it click, and then that seals it up. So now that's in there pretty good. Take the new one, plug it in. Put your push pin back in. Take any of the rocks back out before you put your floor mat back in. And we are now done with replacing the catalytic converter after somebody stole it. At the end of the video, we will put the part numbers, where we got them. We got both of them from Amazon. It was $145 for the cat assembly, and it was $34 or $35 for the O2 sensor. And it took us all of maybe an hour. I did jack the car up before. That took 15 minutes. But it's not that hard, and it's way cheaper. Even if you had to rent a car for a couple of days while you brought the parts in, a $500 deductible, you'll still beat that price. It'll only take you an hour, hour and a half. And you don't have to be a master mechanic to do it. Thank you and good luck.